Castle Rock Season 2, Episode 6, The Mother follows up the incredible last episode with a very solid entry here. I don't expect everything in this show to be as good as last episode. It just, that's a little too high bar. But this was still a really good follow-up. So we meet back up with Rita here, who we find out has been sober for 4 years, but that she was an alcoholic for 15 years prior to that, which would actually take her past Joy. So she was drinking and an alcoholic for 3 years. Well, I guess technically 2 years before she became pregnant. Now, did she drink with Joy? I mean, who knows? But regardless, that might play in a little bit of why she was wrapped up in an affair with a married man. I mean, if she was making really poor choices while drinking all the time, she's probably a functioning alcoholic who was tutoring this kid and was lonely and depressed. That's usually the attributes of a alcoholic. So it would make sense that possibly played into her decision making at that time and why she was screwing the dad of her student. So yeah, I just thought it was interesting that the math went, predated Joy, and she was an alcoholic before that. Because when she was in AA, I was thinking, oh man, she got stabbed, her baby was taken, so she turned to booze. But as I said, the math doesn't add up. She was drinking before that incident. So, but of course, maybe she quit for the baby, once she found out she was pregnant, and then once she was stabbed and the baby was taken, I can only assume it was very shortly thereafter that she turned back to the bottle. All right, so moving on past that, we see the grave or the casket of Amity Lambert, and Ace calls her his love and his prophet. And later in the episode, he says that he has chosen Annie. Well, the guy asks if he chose Annie, and he says, no, she chose us. So Annie released them. They'd been waiting 400 years for that to happen. And Annie is the reason that they're out. So in a way, they really owe her, and she's part of what he said, the prophet. So she's part of that prophecy, which never been a big fan of prophecies in movies. I always find that to just be a little eye-rolly, like, oh, this was predetermined to happen. It just, I don't know, it takes the specialness out of things to me. That's one thing, that's one of the many reasons I've never been really religious, is the whole God's plan, destiny, stuff like that. I don't like thinking that I don't have control over my life. I don't like thinking that I can't make any choices, that everything's predetermined. So anytime anybody throws in the prophecy in any kinds of movies, so that's why I struggle sometimes with the prequels, and the prophecy says that a boy will bring balance to the force, and it's like, oh no, not prophecies, come on, drop the prophecy shit. Just not into it. So anyways, that's not really to do with this that much, but essentially she was a prophet, and prophesized that Annie or something would release them from their graves, their tombs, why they all died, and how none of them could bring each other back. Like, they all died at the same time. Like, what happened there? How did they end up all dying and going under the ground in that area to be found so many years later? Was it, on purpose? Did they know their days were numbered, and they knew if their bodies were burned or something that they would be in deep, they wouldn't be able to come back? So did they purposely kill themselves, put themselves in, I don't know. Like, how did anyone put those into effect? Like, who put them down there? If they had access to bring them back, you know what I mean? Why wouldn't they have done that then? If they had the ability to just put dead bodies in there and then for the souls of them to go into the new bodies, why wasn't that used? Why wasn't that utilized? So I'm curious on how they died originally. Who put them under there? All that. I don't know if we'll ever see like a 400 years ago. I'm not opposed to it. I just don't think we'll get it in that way. I think it'll be more exposition from Ace or whatever his name now may be. But yeah, there's a soul, a new soul inhabiting them, and so much so that when Nadia gets this patient who escaped from the grave, which I don't think she is fully aware of what's going on yet, but everyone else seems to know instantly what's going on once they're revived. Although I guess Ace does kind of walk around stunned for a little while, but I think that's just more that entity coming out of slumber after such a long hiatus. But yeah, I don't know. Is she like, was she not dead when she was thrown in there? That's what I'm expecting. That she wasn't fully, she's only mostly dead. Yeah, that they threw her in there before she was actually dead, and she woke up, and the transformation, or whatever you want to call it, had almost been complete, but she broke herself up out of there, and now when she goes into the hospital, she's got 2 different blood types, and Nadia asks that one chick to help her, but that chick's in on it. She's like, I ain't helping you. So something's gonna happen there. But what happened? Was she dead, or was she only mostly dead? We shall see. But I thought that was, when they opened that up, I thought maybe it didn't take, and she like dissolved into the shit, and they were like, oh, wasn't a good enough vessel. But then she hits the car, and I was like, oh, whoa, wait, what? Why would she run away? Isn't she has to have some of her consciousness left to run away and seek help like that? Because you got to think, these entities haven't been around in 400 years. They wouldn't even know what a freaking hospital was, or a car, or anything. So, and where they are when they broke out, what then? They would like hang out there because they would know that's where they're supposed to be. So this girl has control in some capacity. So I'm really curious on what's going on with that character. She's kind of an in-between possessed character. So that'll be really cool. And then yeah, Rita comes to town, talks to Chance, who we find out, I think this is the first time we get confirmation that her last name is actually LaChance. So that's pretty cool. Stephen King tie-in there. I wonder if she has any relation, or if that'll get brought up or whatnot. We shall see. If I missed it, please let me know. That does happen. I can only catch so much on one viewing, especially when my kids come downstairs every 5 freaking minutes and interrupt me, and I have to rewind scenes. Oh, that's so frustrating. And then people will call me out like, oh, you missed this. What a moron. And I'm like, you try to watch it under these conditions. Anyways, Annie sees Rita walking up, and she immediately runs to go get a gun, which I don't know if that was like, I need to kill her to keep my secret. I need to protect myself because she's here to kill me. I don't know what was running through Annie's mind in that moment. We didn't even talk about I didn't even talk about. See how I think you guys are here with me, but you're not. You're not. I'm all alone. When they sit down at the bar together, her and Ace, and she's like drunk and going on, and Ace could have killed her right then and there, but he has a plan. Like, he has more respect for her than that because she's the one that brought them back. They owe her a little more than that, I guess. They're still gonna kill her anyway, right? So, or maybe they won't. Maybe maybe because you can be turned before death, maybe he'll, I don't know, like, there's no way to keep them both, and I don't see any reason why he'd want to. But maybe the prophecy says that it has to be on a specific night, or who knows, we'll see, but that could be something like that. And I got off track there because of that shit. And we were talking about all that. Shit, I jumped ahead so much. Now I'm having to rifle through my notes. Chances like wants nothing to do with Rita. She's like turning her down right there. Like, absolutely not. She cares way too much about Joy. This seems shady to her, so she leaves. But the $500, catches the attention of Chance's friend there, meets her at the hotel, and boom, man, I'll tell you, when Annie goes to the home to see Joy, and she gets up there and she's like, sorry, she's seeing someone else right now, and it's like she's with her mother, and you don't know which one, and it cuts and it's Annie that's outside and Rita's in with her. I gasped out loud. I was like, oh, whoa, what? Holy oh man, oh no, Joy knows now. Like, wow, what an intense scene. I mean, just that, I feel so bad for Rita. I feel so bad for Joy. I don't know who I feel worse for, honestly. I really don't. I'm trying, I don't know. I mean, there's an argument to be made for both, because Joy was so young, because Joy has been conditioned, because of all that stuff. There's a lot to unpack there. She's just, she's a very young woman, and it's like, man, what would be going through her head? Could you imagine? You find out that your mom is actually your sister, and that your sister killed your actual dad, who is also her father, that she's never told you about, of course, and that the person who you thought was her father was actually your father that whole time, and that the person, and then your mom, who's actually your sister, stabbed your actual mom, who you never knew existed, because you thought this was actually your mom. I mean, you're talking Jerry Springer shit times 1,000. Oh my good God. And then, of course, on Rita's side of things, stabbed, left for dead, husband dead, betrayed by a kid that she thought was, her daughter. She tutored her. They had such a bonding experience, and then here they come, and just what would be going through Rita's head, and then of course getting there so late to it, and the question she asks her, like, do you remember me, knowing she doesn't remember her. She was not even a year old. There's no way she remembers her, unless she's Princess Leia, right? But yeah, it's like, I just felt so bad for both of them in that situation. But I have to say, I was feeling just a little worse for Rita in that moment, because I was there as a parent, and thinking about my kids right now, and thinking that if someone took them from me right now my kids are a little older. They're almost 7, so they would remember me a little bit. But just even thinking of that, like, I kind of vaguely remember, like, finding them in 10, 15 years from now, after them being missing and all of that, and someone betraying me, taking me, someone close to me, and then finding my kids, and then realizing I missed out on all of their life up until that point, and just asking them, do you remember me? Just in that fucking minute little chance, little hope right there that maybe they'll have any memory of you, which is very little. With her, it's 0. And just for her to be like, no, like, the weight of that hit me so hard, because I'm so invested in my kids' lives. They are my everything. And for the last 15 years, she's been searching for, she's been on her mind, her everything this entire time. And this chick doesn't even remember her, and ultimately picks her sister, aka what she thinks is her mom, over her actual mom. And just to take that to, oh my God, when she goes in and she finds out, she's like, no, like, I'm not, and she leaves her the voicemail, like, and when she walks into that house, And Annie walks in, and Rita's sitting there, and she just immediately, as soon as she walks in, she presses play on that voicemail, and it's just Joy saying, like, like, I'm not, I'm leaving, I'm out of here. And it's like, you stole fucking everything from me. And she had to lose her twice. She had to lose her twice. She had to be stolen, and then she had to be brainwashed to the point where her daughter didn't even care to see her when she saw her. You search your whole life, and you probably built up this moment in your head, like, if we are ever reunited, if she's still alive, it's going to be this, joyous occasion. It's going to be this monumental movement in her, and it wasn't, and it's nothing like you think it's going to be, which is, such is life. You always think these things you're going to give someone this amazing present, or something's going to happen. You're like, this is how it's going to happen, and it never goes that way. And it can be disappointing. That's why you should never get your expectations up too high. And to watch her go through this was so traumatizing, because she lost her, then she loses her again, and then she's betrayed by her again as she sticks her in the arm with some kind of drug that's gonna knock her out. And then she drops the gun and shoots herself. And in that moment, man, I thought Joy was shot. And I was like, oh my God, Joy's shot. Like, I thought Joy was dead. And then I was like, oh no. What I thought before that, though, when Annie and her were going at each other, I thought she was going to kill Annie. And that would be that for Annie for the episode. And then Ace would find her body, throw her in the goop, and boom, she'd be changed over. That would have been a tad surprising, seeing as how this is the misery season. It's, Annie's on the posters for everything. Getting rid of Annie's character, because as soon as she's dead, Annie's character would be therefore gone, and Amity would then take over, and it wouldn't be the same character. So I would have been surprised, but I thought maybe she'd kill her, throw her in the goop, resurrection style, or that when the gun dropped and it shot, I thought, as I said, it could have either been her, or it could have been even Joy. And then it would have been like, you brainwashed her into thinking that I'm the bad guy here. She sticks me, and boom, this gets her killed. And then there's this even bigger feud between Annie and Rita over, you stole my daughter from me. And she's like, no, you stole my daughter from me. Everything was good before you came, kind of shit, back and forth. And then so my brain was like, oh my God. Because we get those moments in these shows all the time, or movies all the time, where the two guys are fighting over the gun, and then the gun goes off, and 9 times out of 10 you can guess who the person is. And there's always this long pause and these looks of like horror in each other's faces, and you're like, all right, come on, how many times can we do this stupid thing? But this time in particular, it actually worked, because my brain was like, I legit don't know which one of the three could it be. And my last guess was Rita. That was actually my last one. I was thinking of the Annie thing, as I said, and then I started thinking about the Joy thing, and then they looked down, and Rita was the one shot. And I was like, oh wow, okay, for some reason that was the last one that came to my mind. And then the cops pull up, and I can only assume that the cop that pulls up is Ace's goon that he brought in. So I will, because Annie's like, I did it, and Joy's like, what? Oh my God. But you'll see. I will be pretty surprised if the cop, there was 2 of them, but that doesn't mean that they didn't change them over, or it doesn't even matter if the other one is quote unquote human. The main cop will be. This is my guess. I could be wrong, but I'm sticking to one of those cops is guys, because we don't see their faces, and one of them's a cop. It's gotta be. So he's gonna, have her in jail now, or take her to the house or something. But they're now gonna have her in custody. And let's see. Do I have anything else? I think that's pretty much it. I like the number one fan thing, that when Annie talks to Joy, she leaves her that the note that she reads, and at the end of it, she's like, I'll always be your number one fan. I love that they took, certain iconic plot points from the Misery novel, like I'm your number one fan, the Paul Sheldon thing, and they flipped it and they took that small piece there and they made such a thing of it. Like, Rita, as she confronts Annie on it, she's like, it was the dedication, wasn't it? Like, that's it. You could handle the affair, you could handle the baby, but you just could not handle the dedication. Like, the laughing place, that was too much for you. And like, because he says, you're my number one fan or whatever, and then he doesn't dedicate it to his number one fan, and then she flips that, and it's such an importance to her, for her daughter to know that. Her daughter doesn't even understand the importance of it, but she does. We know, the audience knows how fucking important that sentiment is to her daughter, for her to say, like, I would dedicate the book to you. You are, my number one. I'm your number one fan. So I love that they took that line and they made it such a central part of her character. So great stuff here. What a fantastic season we got. These last 2 episodes especially. So good. I saw lower ratings on this one. I don't know why that is. Maybe everyone's like expecting for it to just keep escalating in terms of quality, and that this episode should have been better than the last episode. that's a damn high bar to set this to. So I hope people aren't doing that. But man, I thought this episode was great, and very much look forward to the next episode. What do we got on the horizon? We shall see. Let me know about your theories, what I said, all that good stuff. See you in the comments. Adios.